I'm working on actually trying to get us a paying gig.
Mm-hmm.
So don't count your chickens yet. But
Right.
if it is, it may involve traveling, which I don't know how you are about that.
That'd be fun.
Okay. And I don't know when it would be either. So we'll sort of keep it in mind. How's that?
Sure. Sounds good.
Okay, so let's get him on Zipfoon.
Oh, that water's cold out there, I'll tell you. Whew.
How'd your house survive?
Yeah, pretty good. We had, a power outage, but that wasn't a big deal.
That's not so big. Yeah, we were pretty fortunate too.
Yeah.
You're in the hills though, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Parking is a pain sometimes for people when they come up there.
This is Jim. Jim, it's Edward Brown and Bruce McGowan.
Hey, Jim.
Okay. All right. Thanks again for joining us. So let's tell you what. Let's because Jim's time is limited.
Right.
Let's do the second segment first. And
Okay.
Get right into it.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Okay, here we go. Well, welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Again, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan. Bruce, who's on the phone?
A good friend of ours, former NBA player and longtime TV analyst Jim Barnett of the Golden State Warriors, who's been doing the analysis on the television broadcast for many, many years. And Jim, this year's team, everybody expects them to go all the way. It's interesting to watch them play this year. They've lost a few games. They've blown some leads late. They pretty much played as well as we've expected them to play. But sometimes you watch them and you wonder, gosh, what do they need to show a little more life? And maybe we're being a little harsh. I mean, you're with them every day. What's your read on the way they're playing right now? And are they living up to the to all of the hype and all the talk that we've heard?
Well, it's typically the eighth season when you have a great team, but you're going to lose some games. You're not going to win them all. And in today's era, we're talking about 2017, with all the technology, with all the data, with all the analytics, with all the number of people that we have following this with social media, Twitter, and all the blogs that are out there, and I'm not trying to be negative, I'm just being very realistic. There's so much scrutiny, Bruce, that it's over the top. It's over the top. And everybody's trying to analyze the infinities. And we're all human. You're going to miss some shots, you're going to make shots. You're going to win games, you're going to lose some games. Obviously, a talented team is going to win their vast majority of games. And sometimes they're not going to blow out teams with a record of 11 and 28. Like against Miami, they lost a game against Memphis at home after having a 24-point lead, 19-point lead going into the fourth quarter.
That one killed me. That one killed me because there were, I think, if I'm not mistaken, there were 5 missed free throws in a row between Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson.
There were. So the situation is this: the Warriors' record now, what are they? 33-6, I believe. And so they're on pace to have, I don't know, at the worst, a record of 6-8-14 at this pace. They're 68-14 in an 82-game schedule.
That'll get them in the playoffs.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, that'll get them in the playoffs. What do they take, the top, 8 teams?
Let me ask you this. Okay, let's talk. We know, I think the 1980s was probably the best era of basketball. It was exciting. The Lakers and the Celtics, and they won predominantly throughout the 80s. I know the Lakers won 5 championships in the 80s. I can go down the list from memory. It was the Lakers in 80. It was the Celtics in 81. It was the Lakers in 82. It was Philadelphia in 83.
Oh, yeah.
And then 84, the Celtics. 85, the Lakers. 86, the Celtics. 87, 88, the back-to-back with Pat Riley's team. And they won 2 championships. And then it went for the Detroit Pistons. They won 89 and then 90. So let me just ask you, during those championship years, these were championship years. What do you think the record was in 1982 when the Lakers won their second championship in the 80s? What do you think their record was?
I'm getting
54 and
55, maybe something like that. Yeah.
57 and 25.
Okay, we're not far off.
Yeah. And you think of that team too.
Here are their records when they won the championship. In 82, in 80, 82, 85, 87, 88. And And then we can even go on to the Shaq, but they were 60-22. 1980, they won the championship. They lost 22 games. The next year, they lost 25 games. The next year that they won it in '85 was they were 62-20. Now in '87, they were terrific, 65-17, and in '88 they were 62-20 again. So only once during those 5 championship years in the '80s did they lose less than 20 games.
What do you attribute that to? Was it just the other teams were that close in parity?
It's the way it is. It's 82 games. It's tough to get up psychologically, physically, everything for 82 games. It's very, very tough.
No, what I mean is, why have the Warriors been so dominant? I mean, I know they have a great team, but I'm saying, like, as a comparison to the teams in the '80s.
Well, okay. One thing, the league is diluted a little bit. Okay, you got 30 teams here. You're carrying 15 players rather than 12 back in those days.
That's a good point.
Across the board, when I came to the league, there were 10 teams. Every team had to have a good center in those days.
Yeah.
You couldn't win. Every team, there was more parity. And expansion, when I came in, there were 120 players. Now there are 450. And so you've got players today that wouldn't be playing 30 years ago.
Gotcha.
They wouldn't be on teams.
That's a very good point. But so let me ask you: do you think it's good for basketball to have these teams that are constantly, like, let's say back in the '80s, you had Boston and the Lakers, Boston and the Lakers. Do you think the fans really want to see that? Of course, Boston's a big town and LA's a big town. For that kind of a constant rivalry, which kind of seems like you're sort of at Cleveland and the Warriors now for the last couple of years.
Well, teams, that's what's going to happen. Everything is in cycles. It's like the stock market. We're pushing 20,000 in the stock market in the Dow Jones, but there's going to be a pullback. There are going to be lean years. There are going to be teams that come forth. The Warriors, for 13 straight years, did not make the playoffs.
Yeah.
All of a sudden now they're the power super team. And the reason the Warriors are dominating now is that you've got arguably the 3 most explosive offensive players on their squad in the history of the league.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's the best balanced team in all of history, but you tell me and show me any other team in the history of the game that had 3 not only great shooters but great scorers as the Warriors have: Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, and Klay Thompson.
Yeah, no, I can only think of Jordan and Pippen, but then who was number 3?
Well, Pippen wasn't a great shooter. Pippen could score, but he wasn't a great shooter.
Yeah.
Fine, but there are a lot better shooters around than Scottie Pippen.
Gotcha.
He was a great compliment to Jordan. He played defense, but who would you, if you shot 100 threes, would you rather have? Who would you bet on? Klay Thompson or Pippen?
Yeah, that's a
Curry or Pippen?
Yeah, no, that's true.
Pippen.
What amazes me about the Warriors is you bring in a guy like a Kevin Durant, and there was a lot of talk that, gosh, it's going to be difficult because other guys are going to have to take less shots and change, more of a low-profile kind of role. And Draymond Green seems to have embraced that. Andre Iguodala, who doesn't take as many shots but plays so well on defense, seems to have taken that to heart. And it hasn't really become a problem integrating this guy. As a matter of fact, he may be their best player right now, Kevin Durant.
Well, he certainly knows how to score, and he can do things that the other 2 shooters can't do. That's create a shot any time that he wants to the side and his ball handling ability. And what he's added also is defensive presence. There's a reason why this team leads the league in steals and leads the league in block shots.
Yeah.
Because of Kevin Durant. And he's embracing the defensive mode. But if you look at the number of shots that Durant takes so far in 39 games, and the number of shots that Klay, I don't think there are 20 shots. The number of shots, if you total them all up, I don't think anyone of those 3 has taken. They're all within 20 or 25 shots of each other over 39 games. Well, that's a pretty good ratio.
That's great.
Yeah, so everybody's getting a chance to get their opportunities. I have no question.
Hey, Jim, before we cut to a break, there was a quick question I wanted to ask you about the difference in today's game versus before when you played. I noticed that in the old days, they used to call it palming. And you don't even see those kind of calls being made anymore. Guys seem to be carrying the ball for an extra one or two shots, or steps as they're dribbling. Why aren't they calling that?
Because players have developed bad habits as youngsters. Players go to 1 year of college, in Kentucky particularly, and come out, and the game has gotten sloppier. And they give you an extra step now because they basically changed the rules. You used to get what they call one and a half steps.
Yep, I remember that.
You gathered the ball, and you had your pivot foot. You're moving on the move.
Yep.
Take one step and then a jump. That's 1.5 steps. And you've got to get rid of the ball, either pass or shoot, or you come down.
And then remember,
now they don't call.
Yeah.
It's called a gather.
Oh yeah, that's right. And also, then you got Charles Barkley, who used to step back from the 3-point line, take his extra step then after he was already positioned. Oh, I used to love that.
The main thing about calling is I saw a week and a half ago. I saw a clip of Russell Westbrook. He did this incredible move, but he kept the ball in his right hand, but he took it over to his left side. Then he grabbed it, pulled it back over to the right side, and then it was the most egregious palming violation I've ever seen.
He still didn't call it. Hey, Jim, stay with us just a very quick second. We got to cut to a quick question break. Quick question. Which baseball team played in a stadium named after a political leader? All right? Don't touch that dial. Sports Econ 101 will be right back.
Wasn't Richard Nixon, I don't think. I don't think they'll name a stadium after Richard Nixon, do you? Jeez. So what do you think of this whole Donald Trump imbroglio, Jim? Have you gotten wrapped up in that, or you try to just avoid the...
I watch CNN, MSNBC, and Fox. I switch around all day long. I keep them on for hours at a time. It's a mess. I was watching some of these hearings of, confirmation of General Mattis today, and also the CIA director and the Secretary of State. And it's interesting because the Secretary of State and the Mattis, I think they're going to give him the okay that he can be the Secretary of Defense, even though he hasn't been retired for 7 years. They are actually in conflict with President-elect Donald Trump as far as how to treat Russia, which I kind of like. So it's just interesting. There's all sorts of stuff, and I just hope we survive.
Yeah, we'll both survive. We got through Nixon. We got through George Bush. We'll get through this. America is too great a country to not get through it. So
Trump can't do all the things he can do.
No.
So
and you don't even know what he's going to do. I mean, he says half the time he says he's going to do one thing, and then maybe we'll do something else. So
the problem with Donald Trump is he's got a great flaw and never take the high road.
No.
When Meryl Streep talks about stuff, he has to come back
and make his comment.
She wasn't a great actor.
I know. He's
once in a while I get that comment. I'm just going to let it go. I'm not going to tweet back and say, well, who are you? It's so petty. And it shows his insecurity and lack of dignity and presidential quality. But that's I don't think I'll say that.
There you go. All right.
Jim, can you stay with us a little bit?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. All right.
I wanted to finish though that other stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's the thing: if you call it every time, we'd never play the game.
Yeah, that's true.
Good point. Okay, well, we'll let Jim make that statement. Hold on a second. Here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here along with Bruce McGowan. First trivia question was, which baseball team played in a stadium named after a political leader? And Bruce, you said Richard Nixon was not on the list. You are correct.
I'm going to say something like Washington Park. I can't think of anybody.
Once I say this, you'll know.
Yeah.
I said political leader, but he was not.
American political leader.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hubert Humphrey Stadium.
Oh,
for the
yes.
Vikings and
For the Vikings, yeah.
Yep.
I know. Hubert Humphrey probably would have been president in 1968 had he not been associated with Lyndon Johnson, who was not a popular president at the time. And Richard Nixon won by 500,000 votes. Interesting little historical quirk there. All right.
Who's our guest?
We've got Jim Barnett from the Golden State Warriors, who's having a lot of fun. And Jim has been broadcasting, doing the analysis, the color for the Warriors television broadcast for many years. And during the time, Jim alluded to the fact that the Warriors went a long time between playoff appearances. There was a 13-year period. Then they went to the playoffs 1 year, and then they didn't go for another number of years. Jim, you saw a lot of bad basketball. What's it like getting to see all this great basketball every night now? What is it like for you?
Well, interestingly, I'm happy for them, but I got to do a lot more analysis when when it was bad basketball. We didn't have all the sponsors.
Yeah.
We didn't have all the interest.
Oh.
I had a lot more freedom, a lot more time to explain what was going on.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting.
And it's gotten a little more commercial
Yeah.
with the popularity of the club. You know, we used to travel with 28 people on our plane, including coaches, players, broadcasters, and, you know, people that have worked for the Golden State Warriors. We now travel with
53. Wow.
That's right, 53.
Jeez.
Because you have to have someone that follows Twitter and just all their job is to follow Twitter.
Yeah.
Someone to carry a video camera and show the players getting off the plane, show the players getting off the bus into the arena, and showing the players coming out of the arena, walking down the hall.
Are the Warriors becoming kind of a, Jim, are the Warriors sort of becoming a, almost like a traveling roadshow like Michael Jordan and the Bulls? Have they gotten that pop internationally?
It's so exciting to see all those still photos or a video of people walking off the bus. Telling everything. We'll have everything to do.
Well, you're getting some recognition too now.
Yeah.
See, that's kind of nice, you know, after.
You know, that's a nice thing you brought that up, but I'm being very candid with you. I don't want more recognition. I like doing my job.
Yeah.
I like doing my job, and just, I have a strong sense of basketball love
Yeah.
and as a basics, and I'm enthusiastic enough just because of the game. I like to play the game. I don't like to talk about it. I
Yeah.
don't like to analyze all the details about the game because it isn't a black and white world.
Yeah.
That's why Warriors are losing a game once in a while, and that's why I don't worry about it. And they may do some stupid things like everybody else, but all in all, they are the best team in the league right now based on record. I think when big games are coming up, I will get a little more, you know, there's going to be some more credibility from critics, if you will, if they don't beat Houston, if they don't beat Cleveland,
Sure.
if they don't beat Oklahoma City, and that's, you know, when they match up against a great team. But look at Cleveland. Hasn't Cleveland now lost 2 games in a row? They lost at Utah, then they lost at Portland, correct? The
Yeah.
Warriors haven't lost back-to-back games since April of 2000.
Wow.
That's amazing.
You know, it's amazing too when you watch the Warriors play. Sometimes against a team like you mentioned, Miami the other night, they just couldn't put Miami away. Then they blew a big lead to Memphis. You know, Memphis is a very good team, by the way, not in the Warriors league, but it's not. It doesn't surprise me that these kind of things happen because, as you mentioned, Jim, during the course of a long season, how do you keep yourself at a high level? And for other teams like, say, Houston or Memphis, or you know the team that the Warriors are going to be playing as we speak tonight, Detroit. This is a game they've circled on their calendar. The Warriors haven't necessarily thought to themselves, "Hey, we got to play the Pistons on Thursday night."
But remember, all the other teams too feel like they have to keep their playing at a high level.
But what I'm saying is, maybe I'm asking Jim, are other teams maybe having a little bit of an advantage in that this is the game for them to really shine, whereas the Warriors have to really sort of force themselves sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Every team is going to get up for the Warriors because they know they're going to have to play at their optimum level. That's a good point, Bruce. That they're meeting teams that are all hyped up for it. They're going to give it their best shot, at least for the first half, and see what can be done. Close at halftime. So the Warriors have been down at halftime. I'm trying to think what game it was.
Sacramento, was it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sacramento, they're down, 7 points?
Yeah.
Well, Sacramento is nothing to write home about. They're fighting for an 8th final playoff berth, but that's what happens. These other teams get up for it. And I will say this, the Warriors, and I've said it before, they are so strong offensively that they may fall into a trap once in a while of getting about playing defense and thinking that their great offensive strength will overcome any deficiency and they'll win the game with their offense. And when the playoffs come around, that's a very dangerous thing to think about. And so Steve Kerr, though, he knows what's going on. He sees more than I do. And he sees it on a daily basis. And those are the things they have to keep being reminded of. Because I think they're a better defensive team this year than in the years past. Even when they had Bogut, they're not as good at blocking shots around the rim or preventing shots inside because of Bogut and the ceiling when he was in there. But I think there's more responsibility from each individual now. They play a little more straight up defense. We're not always funneling someone and letting them go around to the basket. Where Andrew Bogut would change their mind on things.
Yeah, but Pachulia has really risen to the occasion now. You know, he's not a great shot blocker, but he does things. He just outworks people. Yeah.
He outworked DeMarcus Cousins. He was tremendous.
Yeah.
You guys are talking about Zaza Pachulia, who by the way is making a nice little run at the All-Star game. He probably won't get in, but I guess he's getting a lot of support from his fans in Eastern Europe, huh, Jim?
Yeah.
Yes, and that, as I say, though, there's a lot of, yeah, I mean, that's kind of a funny thing, but right now, sorry about my other phone ring.
That's okay. Hey, Jim, let me ask you a personal question. How do you feel? You know, most people are, you know, they know you as a broadcaster for the Warriors, but you know, I mean, guys, Bruce is my age. You know, remember you as a good player in the NBA, but I don't know how many people will, you know, because it's been a number of years since you played. How do you feel about being recognized more for what you're doing now versus being a player?
Oh, I can't even compare it. I mean,
Okay.
first of all, when we were players, we were more normal.
Yeah.
No, we were part of society. It was great, but it was a personal satisfaction that we gained. I had just knowing that I was in the NBA and that I could play in the NBA and that I was a good player in the NBA.
Yeah.
Not consistently. I'm not going to score like Curry and Grant, all those guys night in, night out. But I've had some 40-point games. I've had some triple doubles, and I've had, you know, great play. I played hard every night. All I did was my standard was myself, and I can honestly say, in 732 regular season games and however many playoff games I played, 30 or so, whatever, I gave 100% every second I was on the floor. I never cheated anybody. I never cheated any fan. I never cheated the coach, my teammates, and I never cheated myself. That's satisfaction enough for me. I wasn't looking for recognition. I wanted to play at my optimum level. And I will say this: I played big in big games. You know, when I was in the playoffs in '72 against the Bucks, that needed 5 games, but I averaged over 21 a game that series, even though we had better scorers. And I also, the way that my style in 5 games, I went to the free throw line 41 times.
Wow.
And you know, eight times a game. I could drive, and I loved getting fouled, and I had an impact on everything. So I'm not trying to brag about that. It's just fact. People don't know that, and they don't care. It's okay. I was a rookie in this league 50 years ago. I could say, tongue in cheek, but I'm irrelevant.
You're making me feel old because Jim. You know, it's interesting, Jim. Your rookie year was the first year I followed the NBA, and I remember you playing with the Boston Celtics. I mean, Jim moved around a lot. He played with Philadelphia, played with New Orleans, played with the Warriors. You played with some great players: Dr. J, Pistol Pete, Rick Barry, Elvin Hayes, among others. Earl Monroe, Walt Frazier. Is it safe to say that it's impossible to say who was the best player you ever played with, or who was the guy that really blew you away, or is there a player that just you think today, wow?
I just did recently a gig on CSN Bay Area, and I was essentially asked to pick my 5 greatest players I played with. I should have overruled, said I can't do that. I'm going to take 10 players because I played with 10 players during my era, were teammates of mine, and they are a member of the top 50 players of all time, and every one of them are in the Hall of Fame.
Wow.
And it starts with Boston with Sam Jones, John Havlicek, and of course Bill Russell. Then Elvin Hayes in San Diego. With the Warriors, Rick Barry and Nate Thurman. And then Pistol Pete Maravich in New Orleans with the Jazz, which is now in Utah. And then in New York with, as you mentioned, Bruce Frazier and Monroe.
Now these are guys you played on the same team with.
Dr. J.
Yeah. Dr. J.
Philadelphia. So those are the 10. And for me to pick one of them is really, really tough. But I'm going to pick one for you, okay? I don't think I've ever done this. Of all of those players, obviously Bill Russell won the championship for 13 years. But he's a center. It's an aberration. He wasn't a big scorer. The best all-around basketball player that I had in all those years would be
Dr. J.
I should have this as a test.
Yeah.
Nope, not Dr. J.
Elvin Hayes?
Nope, not Elvin.
I bet you it's Rick Barry.
Pete?
Rick Barry, right?
Not Pistol Pete either,
Yeah,
ever.
Pistol Pete.
Not Elvin Hayes. Not
I'm running out of
Pistol Pete.
Got to be Rick Barry.
Rick
I was going to say, yeah.
Barry's the best all-around basketball player I've ever
Not
played.
Great
bad choice.
Great defensive play. People don't realize what a great defensive player Rick Barry was. I mean, he did some amazing things, and he was like you, Jim. He played hard at both ends of the floor, and I think that's one of the reasons why when I spoke with him and worked with him a number of years, he always spoke of you with reverence because he said Jim always got the most out of what he had. He left it all out on the floor, and I think there was mutual respect there.
Well, I appreciate that. But he was a great passer. He gave me layups, backdoor cuts during, obviously on a fast break, but at half court, he was the most intelligent player I ever played with. He should have been the Warriors coach from years ago. I wish that would have transpired, but I know why. That never gotten the recognition. He never was one of the most popular players in the league among his peers. It's unfortunate. And I can tell you this: I used to defend. I was a guard, backcourt, and I always just play Jerry West, Oscar Robertson, Abe Bean, Earl Monroe, Frazier. I guarded those guys because I could stay with them. I was quick, and I was also tall enough and long enough. Once in a while, I used to play small forward and defend Chet Walker, Billy Cunningham, and I had some success with people like that.
Jim,
There are several times I tried to guard Rick Terry. It was impossible. He made me look like a junior high school. Rick Terry.
Jim, hold on. I know you've got to go. We've got to run to a quick commercial break. Stay with us just a minute. Name the 4 college basketball teams that over the years have won the most NCAA tournaments.
All right, we'll have that answer coming up.
Okay,
And right
I'm
up,
sorry, gosh, we ran over
Sports
so much.
Econ.
We love talking to you.
Jim, I know you got to run,
Yeah.
so
It's hard to stop it.
I know,
Yeah.
I hate doing
Why
it.
do you have to go it exactly?
But you know what? Because we're on Armed Forces Radio also. It's actually an international show rather than just national. And they give us hard breaks. And they say you have to cut off at these times.
So some of my words weren't taken.
No, I know. I got you at the very end. I just didn't get Bruce saying go.
that's all right.
Yeah.
No problem. Well, listen, I know you got to run.
Yeah,
we really
really
appreciate
appreciate
you
it.
being on with us, Jim, and I'll see you at the game tonight. Thanks so much.
Thanks again, Jim.
Thanks.
Okay.
Take care.
He's-
He would probably go for another segment, but I just know that when I see him tonight,
he
he go.
said he only wanted one.
I know it's
That's
funny,
why,
but
yeah.
I just know
If
he would probably do one more segment, but I just don't want to.
No,
I don't wanna push it.
And,
Yeah.
and if he would have said,
He's
"I'm
great.
sorry, I can't do a second one," I would have.
Oh, we could. He's the kind of guy you can have on for 2 hours, though.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
He's
So we'll just make the
great.
last segment short, right?
Well, okay. So let's do our
Intro.
Yeah. Let's
Oh
do
yeah,
our
yeah,
intro.
Definitely.
Yeah, make sure that I
That
got
worked out
this.
pretty well.
Yeah. So this one's number 3.
God, my toes and my hands are still cold.
I
That
can
water
imagine.
was so cold. Boy, I could not believe how many guys were in the water, though. At Muir Beach, there must have been a dozen guys out there. Nice waves, too, as high as the ceiling here.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a little scary.
No, and they were real gentle. They break like this.
Oh, that's nice.
So you just glide down them. I didn't have a single time where I didn't just, what is that big blue bottle you got over there?
Oh, it's creatine.
Oh, yeah.
I get to be my age and start losing muscle.
Tell me about it. I'm out there with the young guys. Well, there were some guys who were in their 40s out there, but this one guy the young guy comes up to me and goes, "Hey, it's great to see an older guy out here in the water." I said, "Yeah, tell me about it."
You go, tell me when you see an older guy. Thank you.
Yeah, I see a few guys my age or older out there.
Really?
Oh yeah,
Wow.
there's a few.
You know,
There's a few.
50 years ago, he was.
And that was the first year I watched the NBA. It was 50 years
Back
ago.
then, it was a square basketball, right?
1966, 67.
They hadn't invented round yet.
Yeah, no, it was a fun year too. The Warriors went to the NBA Finals that year. My dad took me to the Cow Palace. I saw Nate Thurman and Rick Barry, and it was like magic.
Oh,
the first game I ever went and saw was a playoff game against the St. Louis Hawks. The final score was 143 to 137.
Wow.
Second highest scoring NBA playoff game in history, and that was my first game I ever saw.
Was that in overtime?
It was a regulation game, and it was the Western Conference Finals. And believe it or not, my dad and I, those days the place was sold out, but we got there an hour beforehand and got good seats. So in those days they didn't.
I know.
It was a different story.
Different animal.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do our intro, just kind of a generic.
Sounds
We'll
good.
say, hey, who are we going to have on
Gotcha.
today?
Gotcha.
All right. Here we go. Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Bruce McGowan, longtime sports radio personality. And today's show is going to be fun because we're going to have a guest on who we've had on many times before and love to have him on.
Yeah, he's a local guy. Well, we work out of the Bay Area here, and those that do not live in the Bay Area may not have heard of this guy unless you're a longtime NBA player. But Jim Barnett played in the NBA for 10 years, and for the last about 30 now, he has been the color analyst on the Warriors television broadcast. And, of course, the Warriors are one of the best teams, if not the best team in all of basketball right now. So that's quite a story.
Yeah, and it's interesting because when we get to the next couple of segments, I want to ask him what it feels like to be known more for being an announcer than being a player.
Yeah.
Because he was a good player.
He was a good
I remember
player.
him being a good
Yeah,
player.
not a great player, not an all-star, but a good supporting player, like a good six-man off the bench. And he played on some bad teams, but he also played on some really good teams. He got to play with Nate Thurman and Rick Barry and Dr. J and Pistol Pete Maravich and Elvin Hayes and Bill Russell. He broke in with Bill Russell.
Yeah, did he win he won a ring, didn't he?
No, he did not win a ring. No.
So the one time he plays with Russell and he doesn't get a ring?
They lost in the conference finals that year to Wilt Chamberlain and the 76ers, who until the Warriors broke their record of wins in a season, I believe it was the Sixers who had the record. If it wasn't, at one time they did. They lost to the Sixers in the conference finals, which was no disgrace. I mean, the Sixers were a great team.
Oh, yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
well, especially Wilt and anybody else.
Well, they had guys like Luke Jackson and Hal Greer. It was a good team. Yeah.
All right, and at each commercial break, we're going to ask a sports trivia question, and we'll see. You can listen to Sports Econ 101 on iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Sports Byline USA,
Armed
CNN,
Forces Radio?
and on Armed Forces Radio,
Yeah, our
International,
our
our
good
men
friends.
overseas.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what? We always should be
Giving them a
thanking
little,
those guys.
yeah, give them a little salute.
A little salute there.
Yeah.
And this segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Private Money, providing mortgage investments that are currently yielding around 7.5%, secured by Bay Area Real Estate. It doesn't get any more conservative than that. Check them out at pacificprivatemoney.com. Don't touch that dial. Sports Econ 101 will be right back. All right.
All right.
There's our first segment.
We go. How do you switch that over and move it over to the front?
Well,
Is that tough
because
to
I'm
do?
going to just save this as file number 1.
Oh, and just send
then
them.
I'll just send them 1, 2. You know.
Oh, okay. And they can flip them around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll figure it out.
So how much do we need to fill for the last segment? Here?
So we have 13:45.
Okay.
And then our last 2:30 to finish up.
Okay. Oh, we have a 13:45 and then a 2:30.
And then remember
Gotcha.
our ending one. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to save this
All right.
as number 1.
Well, we talk a little NFL.
Yes, because I want to talk about the Chargers.
Yeah, that's an interesting story. You heard today, right?
I did.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me, but it's interesting. They're moving to LA. You know, people say they're not going to get the crowds in LA, but the thing is, a lot of Charger fans are not going to. Maybe they'll be upset, but they might just drive up the road. It's only a 9-minute drive, you know, to drive from LA. Or they're going to play in Carson the first year. They're going to play in a soccer stadium where the LA Galaxy play. Yeah, and they're going to play there until they get a new stadium. And I think they'll be moving. Actually, I think they're moving in with the Rams. Yeah, I believe that's how it's going to work. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so now coming back to our third one, we got to answer the question about the NCAA.
Oh yes, yeah.
All right. Well, welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Again, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan, and we had to say goodbye to Jim Barnett. I would have loved to have kept him on, but I think he's got a game to catch.
He does have a game to do. Yes.
Okay.
Warriors are playing the Pistons as we get ready to do this. Well, we're broadcasting now, so it'll be later in the evening. But that Warriors are 33-6 right now. Amazing.
Why did they lose those 6 games?
Well, they lost to Memphis. Memphis
No,
has
no.
been Memphis is just a good matchup, or not a good matchup for the Warriors. They play good defense. They lost to the Houston Rockets in overtime, a game where they blew a lead late. They lost to the Lakers, which was a stunner. They lost to Cleveland on Christmas Day, so they didn't.
See, you can name every game.
And they lost the game to the Houston Rockets. That I think I mentioned that already, but they were
No,
team.
but Memphis they should have won because
San Antonio, that was the team on opening night, and they got blown out at home by San Antonio.
Yeah.
So they have a score to
I
settle
know,
with
but
the
it's just
Spurs.
what it kills me is to go. They went into overtime with Memphis, and there were 5 free throws in a row that were missed by Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant, who were good free throws.
Well, the Warriors have lost.
That's a killer.
They've lost 2 games. 2 of their 4 or 6 losses have been in overtime this year. So
they shouldn't have gone to overtime on that.
No, there's always, when you have a team with this much talent, there's always the possibility of a little bit of a letdown. And sometimes I think the Warriors get a little bored out there. Seriously. I mean, I'm serious. I think they do. Get a little
I won't
disinterested.
be too hard on them.
Yeah.
Okay, so here was our commercial break trivia question that we asked last time, was name the 4 college basketball teams that over the years have won the most NCAA tournaments.
Basketball tournaments, right?
Yeah. Who first of all, who's number 1?
Well, I'm not sure who number 1 would be, but I'm guessing. Let me think about this for a second.
Or just name a team.
Well, UCLA.
Okay, UCLA is actually number 4.
Number 4.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. I'm surprised, but now remember, this is tournament games. This isn't necessarily
Championship.
championships.
Oh boy,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna answer that.
No, but you'll know the teams.
Okay, but go ahead.
Okay, so Kentucky's number 1.
Oh sure.
North Carolina 2.
Yeah.
And Indiana 3. And then UCLA.
There you go.
So 62 games, 55, 48, and then UCLA.
I'm surprised UCLA hasn't won more. But of course, they had that great run with Wooden, but they've only won, I think, 2 championships since, and they didn't win any before. So maybe But they seem to be in the NC2As a lot, even when they didn't win it all. So I don't know. Yeah, it's surprising.
All right, so we're going to talk a little football now.
Yeah.
San Diego Chargers
are no longer the San Diego Chargers.
Be back to L.A. Which how many years did they only play?
They only played 1 year, 1960. They were the Los Angeles Chargers, and the reason they played in Los Angeles was that was one of the things that the old AFL, which when they started up in 1960 as a competitor trying to compete with the NFL, and they actually did a pretty good job. Not for the first few years, but eventually they forged a merger. The league wanted a team in two of the largest markets, which at that time were, or still are, New York, the New York Jets, and of course, they were known as the New York Titans, by the way, and the Los Angeles Chargers. And the reason they were called the Chargers was Barron Hilton, the owner, had this new charge card that he gave to his customers when they would check in at the Hilton. So he thought that would be kind of cute, the Chargers, and of course they became better known as the team, that had the horse Charger. Moving back to LA is interesting. I don't think it's going to be that big a deal because a lot of Charger fans who follow this team passionately, and I'm sure there are plenty of them down there, will probably just drive up the road to LA. It's not a major, inconvenience to drive.
How many miles is that?
It's about 70, 80 miles. So it's a couple hours.
But in LA traffic, though?
Well, it's on a Sunday. Sunday traffic usually is not too bad. And here's the deal: you're only doing it 8 times a year, so. I think that what they wanted to do was obviously they wanted to get a new stadium. They didn't get a new stadium. They couldn't build a new stadium, and so they're going to move into a soccer stadium in Carson for a couple of years, and then eventually move into this new facility that's supposedly being built for the Rams and share it with the Rams, kind of like what the Jets and Giants do back east.
Okay, but here's the thing: is L.A. had the Rams.
Right.
They moved to St. Louis for 15 years.
Yeah.
Right.
21 years.
21 years.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. They had
and they won a championship there too, with the greatest show on turf.
Yeah, that's right.
Kurt Warner and those great receivers. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. They had the Raiders for a while, so I get, but it's been
13 years.
13 years. Okay.
13 years with the Raiders, and then the Raiders moved back. The Raiders have been back in the Bay Area for 21 years now.
Wow. Okay. So let's put it this way: for many years, LA has not had a team.
They didn't have a team for a long time.
So now, last year they get the team,
right?
The Rams back, and now next year they're gonna have another
team. I know
team.
It's going to be back. It's going to be back to what it was when they had the Rams and the Raiders, and that was a strange thing. And then all of a sudden they lost both of them the same year. The thing that concerns me as being a Bay Area guy and watching this great young Oakland Raider team is that the Raiders. I wouldn't say that there's it's a done deal. They're going to Las Vegas, but there's a very good chance for them to go to Las Vegas. A lot of the owners in the NFL like the idea. The city of Oakland is trying to put together some kind of a deal with private investors to build a new stadium. But it's, getting a stadium built in this day and age, especially in California, is tough to do.
In the same spot? Or are they going to
No, there's no real certainty as far as that's concerned. But it's just the idea, when public money is involved, it just turns a lot of people off.
No, but I mean, I'm just thinking, like, let's say they destroyed Oakland Coliseum.
Well, they can't. The thing is that they got to deal with the A's too. See, the A's are looking for a new stadium. Where are the A's going to play if they destroy the Coliseum to build a new one on the same spot?
Okay,
they can't.
AT&T Park. You have the Giants in the morning, and then you have.
I don't think the Giants are going to welcome the A's over to San Francisco. I just don't think that's going to happen. The thing is, now, not to get off on a tangent about this, but the A's have nowhere to go because there's no major city in America that has a facility that's major league quality outside of the major league teams that are already in existence.
Is it possible that they could go to Vegas and maybe just do an indoor stadium?
No.
With the Heat?
You're talking about the A's?
Yeah.
No, I don't see that at all. I can see it with football because football is only 8-10 games a year. 8 games regular season.
Yeah, but then when are they going to use the stadium? I mean, are they going to do they're going to build a brand new
stadium? They're going to build a brand new stadium, yeah.
But, I mean, for 8 games?
They'll have it available for they'll have it available for college bowl games. They'll have conventions there. Who knows what?
Why don't they play where UNLV plays?
That's too small. The NFL.
How big is it?
It's not that big. I don't know how many. Does UNLV actually have a football team anymore? I don't even know if they have a football team. To be honest with you, I don't think they do.
Really?
I don't think they do. I know the University of Nevada, Reno has a football team because that's where Colin Kaepernick came from. But I don't think UNLV.
I guess I just figured they did because of basketball.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's one of those, and I should know being out here on the West Coast, but I can't remember ever seeing anything about a UNLV football team. Basketball, yeah. But the Raiders' possibility of moving, it's very much up in the air. It's not a done deal. There's a lot of concern about the about Sheldon Adelson, who's the potential, the big money guy who's kicking a lot of money. And the story is that he wants a part of that team. And I don't think Mark Davis, the current owner, Al Davis's son, is going to want to sell him or give him part of that team because Davis owns about 47%, and I think he wants to hang on to that, not give up, majority ownership. So the whole thing is, it's going to take a few years before that plays out. I think the reason that Dean Spanos moved out of San Diego was he didn't want this thing to drag on any longer, and he realized he had an alternative, and it's a much better alternative than what the Raiders have right now. The Raiders thing is kind of a pig in a poke. Las Vegas is a smaller market. There's no stadium. The money situation is still up in the air. A lot of people say, "Oh, they're going to move. They're going to move." They're going to be here for a few more years.
Well, it takes a while to build one stadium, but what's the there's probably a sweet spot of how many seats you need to have.
Yeah, you got to have at least 60,000.
60,000.
Yeah, I think 65 is the minimum actually in this day and age. The thing is, and again, I'm playing devil's advocate here. I know the Oakland Coliseum has its faults, and it's an older facility, and it is used by the baseball team as well. But I go to a lot of games there. It's not that bad a place to watch a game. As a matter of fact, you really don't have a bad seat in the house unless you're sitting up in Mount Davis, those seats that are up really high. And for the last couple of years, those seats have been tarped off, which really is the wrong thing for them to do because they would sell that thing out right now.
For baseball?
For baseball and for football,
okay.
It's been tarped off. And I don't think it should.
No, what I mean is it good viewing for football and baseball?
Well, for Mount Davis, the high seats, not the great seat, not the best seats up there, but the rest of the stadium. But again, it's all about luxury boxes, and it's about clubs, and it's about having all the bells and whistles, and these teams they're got Major League Sports. It's a different era. It's a different world than what existed 20, 30 years ago.
I mean, it really does come down to the dollar.
It comes down to the dollar. It's professional sports. It's not,
I mean, if they could sell those luxury boxes for $50 million a
They
ticket,
do it.
they do it and have the rest of it empty.
What amazes me is that people are paying more today to watch I wouldn't say an inferior product because I think the athletes are just as good today, if not better than before. But they're paying more today than ever before, and it gets ridiculous. I mean, I was looking at the average Super Bowl ticket. I think it's $500 a ticket. 20 years ago, it was maybe $100 a ticket.
Well, if you go back to the original one, it was really cheap. They couldn't even sell it out.
Yeah, they didn't even sell it out at the LA Coliseum. I think you had 67,000 people in a 100,000 seat stadium.
And instead of Madonna or Prince or one of those big ones, it was a high school band.
Yeah, it was. Good point. Yeah. Well, the Super Bowl, the first few years, even though, with all the due respect to the Green Bay Packers who won the first two Super Bowls, it wasn't that big a deal because the AFL, even though AFL fans thought it was pretty serious, but it wasn't that big a deal until the Jets won Super Bowl III, and that kind of legitimized the old American football game.
But it's funny because you go back to that game, and Baltimore had, 5 turnovers or something?
When they just got shut down. The Jets, the story of that game was not Joe Namath. Yeah. Joe Namath only threw engineered one touchdown drive the entire game. The story of that game was the Jets' defense, which was terrific, and played, just shut down Baltimore completely.
And you wonder how those players didn't get into the NFL at the time.
They were getting good. And you have to remember, the mid to late 60s, the AFL was very competitive. The best teams in the AFL, which were Oakland, Kansas City, and New York, were just as good as any of the NFL teams, the established teams. And they were getting comparable salaries, and that's why, and the ratings were good on television, and that's why the league finally decided, hey, let's merge the AFL with the NFL, and we'll have this super league, and we won't have any competition.
So how come Donald Trump couldn't pull that off at the USFL back in the 80s?
I think that they got a little greedy with that, and they tried to do too much. They tried to spend too much money, and also the USFL was playing in the summertime, which is always, it's tough to get people to come out. I mean, the hardcore fans are going to watch, but I remember the team they had in Oakland. I covered some games. They were getting 25,000, 30,000 a game, which isn't bad. Yeah. But, it's just the quality of play. And the old World Football League, I don't know if our listeners remember that. That lasted for only a couple of years. Yeah, it's hard to start up a new league when you've got when the NFL became the Super League, it really has, we are now accustomed to seeing. 1970, that was the first year of Monday Night Football. That was the merger of the two leagues. And it's never been quite the same since. It's just been on a different level.
It's weird, though, because you read all these comments from fans and all that, and again, it's only a small sampling, but there's a lot of people who are just very upset with the NFL. Now they'll watch it on TV, maybe.
Well, they don't like the NFL is not as fan friendly as it used to be. Maybe I don't know. Of course, I'm in the media; they're fine with me. I've never had any problems with it, but it is a hassle, and there's some things about. there's a lot of we talked about this with the San Diego Chargers moving and the Raiders possibly moving. The NFL's had a lot of movement. The other sports haven't had that kind of movement, and it's not. I don't think it's a good thing, especially
you're talking about like
teams moving around.
Yeah, like
yeah.
The Browns became the Ravens.
The Browns became the Ravens, and then the Browns were reborn as a new team, and then you had the Colts becoming, the Indianapolis Colts, and the Houston Oilers moved to Memphis, and then eventually moved to Nashville. The Raiders moved back and forth to LA and back. I mean, I don't think that's a good thing for the league. I don't. And the thing is, the league looks at its customers though as sort of it's not interested so much, I don't think, in building up interest in individual cities. I think it's just interested in getting a national brand, and that's why teams like the Raiders are so popular in Dallas, because they have national fans
and eventually international.
Yeah, well, they're playing games in Mexico City now and in London. So
exactly, Australia too, right?
I believe so. Well, they haven't played a game down there, but I think they're going to. Yeah, college has played a game down there. College played a few games.
Yeah, see, it's a good way. That's in fact, if I remember in the 20s, 30s, didn't Babe Ruth and they kind of went around the world.
Yeah, they played well back in those days. Yeah, baseball was very popular in the Far East. Especially
with good old Mo Berg.
Yeah, there you go.
All right,
who was doing some spying for the Americans?
Because he spoke 7 languages.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Third trivia question: which baseball team set an all-time record when it lost 120 games? Don't touch that dial. Sports Econ 101 will be back with some closing comments.
All right. What do you got here? Pacific.
Money.
Oh, it's your.
Oh yeah, they put that on the paper one day, and I saved it.
Yeah. Where is I went to the Brazen Head a bunch of times, but it's been so many years. Where? It's in the Richmond district, right?
No, it's I shouldn't say no. It's see, from Lombard and
let me have it.
It's
got to be Greenwich. Oh, it's in the I know where that is. It's in the Cow Hollow.
Yeah.
Right next. Yeah. I like
that
place.
It's a very cool.
It's a cool. Yeah, I took Colette there a couple times.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I mean,
I like it. It's a nice place. Good place. I took a few days there before I met Colette. It's a good place for meals.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your daughter will like it too.
Yeah, I will take her there. Definitely. So you can use these anytime, I guess.
Yeah,
that's
no restriction on.
How did you get them anyway? It was a sponsor.
I got those through another barter.
Oh, okay.
And I kind of took a chance on getting a bunch of them, and then I liked it.
Yeah.
So I just had these extra ones.
Yeah, it's $250 worth.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yep.
And they're about 5 times. or 4.
Well, I don't know. It depends if they have wine or.
Yeah. I should take Molly and Colette there.
Oh yeah.
We'll do that this weekend. A little treat for the girls.
Take me too.
Take you and your
wife.
wife.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. A big party.
All right. You ready?
Yes.
Okay, we'll close this bad boy out.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan. Here was our third and final trivia question. Which baseball team set an all-time record when it lost 120 games?
That would be the 1962 expansion New York Mets.
You are
first.
correct.
Yeah. I remember that well because 62 was the first year I ever really watched Major League Baseball with great interest. The Giants won the pennant that year, beating the Dodgers in a great 3-game playoff. And the Mets were just awful that year. They had Casey Stengel, who was 72 years old, managing. Roger Craig lost 21 games that year. But they had some pretty good players. They had Richie Ashburn was on that team. I'm trying to think who their catcher was at that time.
Leon Jones?
No, that was later. Yeah, it was later. I'm trying to think who some of the players. No, that was later. You had guys like Charlie Neal and Felix Mantilla and Elio Chacon. Not great names, but I remember Richie Ashburn was a good player. He was on that team. Oh, Duke Snider was on that team.
Oh, yeah.
I take that back. Duke was on teams later, but Duke was about kind of winding down at that time. He was still with the Dodgers then, believe it or not. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many years did he play? A lot of years.
A lot of years with Brooklyn, and then I got to know Duke. He was working as a broadcaster with the Montreal Expos. He was one of their radio broadcasters, and then he retired to Mendocino. And he used to come down to Giants games, and I run into him. Really nice guy. Died a few years ago. Just a sweetheart of a guy, though. Great player. And he played with the Giants, actually. Played with the Giants one year. And he hit 5 pinch hit home runs for the Giants. He was very good off the bench that one year.
Yeah, he was quite a power hitter.
He was, well, the old saying, Willie, Mickey, and the Duke, that song they had
that's
about
right.
Willie Mays, Mickey Mantle, and Duke Snider, they all played at the same time in New York.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to cut out for today. Here's our thoughts for the day. Adversity causes some men to break, others to break records.
I like that.
William Arthur Ward.
Don't know that name.
Don't know that name either. Okay, and if you want to find the real competition, just look in the mirror. After a while, you'll see your rivals scrambling for second place.
I like that
too. Okay, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Good night, America.
So long.
So you're not giving away any things to the lighthouse anymore.
You know what? I gotta ask